I got a few things that I want to go over, and I want to start here because it's a perfect way to start this video. This is a drop on X from Chris Gore from Film Threat, and he attended WonderCon this year. I got to say, this is really bad. So this is from last Saturday. That's when WonderCon was happening. This is one of the bigger conventions, too, by the way. Huge convention. And this is what a Saturday looked like for them. This is bad. It's embarrassing. And it also says a few things. One, what's going on with nerd culture? You know, a culture that needs a Marvel and a DC to really boost it up. Star Wars, stuff like that. Nobody was there. Here's another shot. This is, according to Chris, a Saturday. This is usually the biggest day for these conventions. This is when you're going to have the most people there, is on a Saturday. And there's nobody there. That's really bad. Now, he lists some reasons here that this could have happened. Holiday weekend, which is true. You had Easter going on. Rain. Bad economy, lack of major brand booths. Star Wars, Marvel, DC, Funko, they weren't there. Have normies checked out of nerd culture? I think that's an interesting question. And when you look at some of the stuff going on, there's a lot of evidence to back this up. Nice survey over here from Breitbart showing that by 2-1, Americans say movies are worse today. And I don't disagree with that. And when you look at what's going on, like the entire box office this year is made up of nothing but sequels and franchises and stuff like that. And that doesn't necessarily mean that's going to translate to something good. But the data down here that they post is interesting. For the better part of a decade, Hollywood films have bent over backward to pander to women and minorities. All this woke crap is supposed to hit the sweet spot of these specific groups. Here's how well that crusade is faring. The question is, are movies today better than they were 10 years ago? Women, 23% say yes. 56% say no. Black adults, 27% say yes. 51% say no. By the way, according to a friend of mine, Fatal J, has a channel. Check it out. He comes on Flashcast once in a while. Remember the Magical Society movie that was aimed at black people? He says a lot of them were walking out of the theater on that movie. That movie, by the way, huge financial disaster. I like to call it what it is, racist Harry Potter. Are movies today better than they were 20 years ago? 28% of women say yes, 52% say no. Black adults, 29% say yes, 54% say no. Are movies better today than they were 50 years ago? Women, 35% yes, 43% say no. Black adults, 34% say yes, 40% say no. They also asked, are movies better? Just here are all the numbers right here. When they just asked, are movies today better than they were 10 years ago? And this is just everybody that answered. 22% said yes, 58% said no. Very damaging. If you want to pause and read that whole section right there, feel free. And there's also this. Why are younger generations embracing the retro game revival? Very interesting read, talking about how a lot of people that didn't even grow up with retro games, and I'm talking, PS2, PS1, 64, NES, SNES, all these things are getting a big revival right now. And I think that there's a lot of reasons for that. The nostalgia for a couple of generations that grew up with this stuff. And I think that a lot of the way that gaming has turned now. Like single-player games don't get a lot of focus. Most games that come out lately from a lot of these big companies, a lot of them are focused on live service or something like that. And, you know, you go back to the retro games, there's a certain charm to them, right? They have some charm. And I think a lot of those limitations that those kinds of games had brought a lot of greatness out from creators who made some fantastic games that still stand the test of time. Also, you know, I don't want to discount it because they never talk about it in this article. Let's talk about woke gaming. A lot of the woke bullshit going on today. None of that existed in older games. So I think there are some people just looking to the past for a good time, and they're finding it. But there's a lot going on. I didn't even know about a lot of this stuff. Like, for example, on TikTok, hashtag retro gaming videos have amassed over 6 billion views. On YouTube, uploads have increased 1,000-fold. Spotify users are creating 50% more retro gaming-themed playlists than they were at this time last year. And live streamers are cashing in on the repetitive catchphrases and mechanical movements of NPCs. So why in this age of hyper-realistic graphics and ever-expanding technological possibility are younger generations captivated by an era of technological limitation? And like I said, I think a lot of that has to do with the charm that a lot of those games have. And a lot of people may be looking for single-player experiences. You know, in the SNES and PlayStation 1 generations, you have hundreds of great RPG stories waiting to get experienced by people for the first time ever. And I'm seeing a lot more of this pop up. There's a story here of the writer of this article seeing a guy on a bus pop out a Game Boy Advance and playing an old game, and it's an interesting shift. And I wonder, you know, you see a lot of companies cashing in on this. You see a lot of them releasing like compilations. A really good example, I think one of the best times I had with a game last year was the Ninja Turtle collection that had all those old Ninja Turtle games on it, all those old beat 'em ups. You know, had the arcade version, the console versions, the Game Boy stuff. Like everything was on there. You're seeing a lot more of those come out, and you're also seeing a lot of indie developers embrace these classic looks. Some of the better games I've played from indie developers are 2D sprite-based games with these retro looks. Square's been capitalizing on that, releasing some great 2D RPGs again. I like this stuff. But, you know, at the end of the day, if you go back to the past here, you can enjoy this stuff and not have to worry about any kind of weird bullshit in them. And I'm seeing more stuff. Like, here's another article on this. Retro gaming is the only thing I enjoy about video games now. This is 1 week ago. So, it's interesting stuff going on. And, you know, I wonder how many more people are going to start looking to the past. It's the same with Hollywood, right? Look at all these, like, really, you could spend the rest of your life watching movies that predate the 2000s. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think about all of this. I'd like to hear from you in the comments. Also, if you would, please like, subscribe, share the video. Make sure you're still subscribed. Hit that notification bell, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Make sure to check out my locals. There's a link in the description. It's a fun community that I'm trying to build over here. If you don't want to support me on YouTube, you can come over here. None of that money goes to YouTube. You also can just come over here for free. But if you are a supporter over here, I do plan on doing an extra live stream once a month and throwing links to the supporters so you can actually come on and have a supporter live stream with me. Also, it's a good place to catch all of my content. You don't have to worry about notifications like YouTube. They'll definitely work over here. So come check out my locals.